Note to learner: this video provides content that will be hosted on the Ginnie Mae LMS in the near future. In this video, you will not be able to interact with screen content to include selecting pop-ups, launching resource hyperlinks, and answering knowledge check questions. Nonetheless, you will be presented with all of the content presented in the interactive e-learning training. Though the audio narration may request that you select items or buttons on the screen, please pause the video to read the content and then select play to continue with the video. When the video advances to a knowledge check, please pause the video and try to answer the question in your head. Select play to see the correct answer or answers to the question. Welcome to Avoiding the Most Common Compliance Findings. The purpose of this training is to present the common issues in cash management testing, delinquency testing, liquidation testing, and on-site reviews and best practices to avoid issues. Select objectives to learn what you will be able to do by the end of this module. Select Next to continue when you are ready. The following issues commonly arise during the cash management testing to include the timely funding of escrows following pool issuance, as well as bank overdrafts. Cash management testing also illuminates issues with reconciling items that are aged greater than 3 months and over or under collateralized pools. Issues related to account styling, annual recertifications, and taxpayer identification number are also discovered. Select Next to continue. There are several important things to know about bank accounts. First, know the account structure through which funds for Ginnie Mae flow, and be familiar with claims, payoffs, escrow disbursements, and any additional accounts beyond the standard collections clearing and custodial accounts. Second, know how funds move through the accounts. Funds tracing must be clear with respect to movement from clearing accounts through the remittance or disbursement. A walkthrough may be needed for clarity. Third, know the acceptable styling for bank accounts. Signature cards often will have full account titles that cannot be displayed on bank statements. Be aware of the abbreviations that have been approved by Ginnie Mae. Fourth, know the requirements for recertification of master agreements. Evidence of annual recertification from either the Pool Processing Agency, PPA, or a screen print from the Ginnie Mae MAM system is acceptable. Lastly, know how initial escrow funds are applied to a loan after the pool has been issued. There are also important things to know about other cash testing. You should know the requirements for the advance, recovery, and excess funds tracking logs. If these are separate logs, each should be provided. You should also know how service fees are calculated. Be prepared to provide a loan-level breakdown of service fees for a given month. Finally, know the reporting cutoff date, and if there have been any reconciliation issues between your internal records and data reported to Ginnie Mae. Select Next to continue. Now check your understanding. There are 4 issues that are common in delinquency testing. First is the default management timeline. Specifically, this refers to the timely referral to foreclosure and timely foreclosure. Next is the timely receipt and movement of claim payments, followed by insufficient documentation maintained or provided regarding selected loans. Finally, active hazard insurance during the test period is a common issue in delinquency testing. Select Next to continue. Some important things to know about delinquency testing are how your default management activities are documented, such as collection notes or logs and codes used, and how events are time-stamped. Multiple areas for the same loan will be reviewed. For example, if a loan is delinquent, the borrower files for bankruptcy, and the loan is ultimately foreclosed, all of that activity will be reviewed. Support for that activity in the form of loss mitigation and workout notes, contact logs, and inspection reports should be provided. How your system works if default management activity is documented online. A walkthrough of the system may be requested by the review team. Select Next to continue. Now, check your understanding. Common issues in liquidations testing include missing or non-timely Form HUD 11708. Issuers may request from a document custodian the release of a loan file or document by submitting a request for release of documents, Form HUD 11708, in Appendix 5-5 of the guide. For each request, the issuer must identify the reason associated with its request by selecting the most applicable reason code from the 6 reason codes listed in the form. Another issue is the non-timely movement of funds into a custodial account. Incorrect liquidation codes, specifically for short sales claims and loss mitigation, is also a common issue. Finally, liquidations testing also discovers when there is no written approval for Reason Code 5 or Reason Code 6 liquidation. Changes under Reason Code 6 are contingent on the specific reason underlying the request. For additional information, see Appendix 5-01 for Reason Code 6 requirements. Select Reason Codes to learn more about when Reason Codes 5 and 6 apply. Select Next when you are finished. Let's examine some important things to know about liquidations testing. You should consult the Mortgage-Backed Securities Investor Reporting Manual. Be sure to examine the 4 examples of loan liquidations found in Chapter 1, Section 4 of the manual. Importantly, the issuer should contact the Ginnie Mae Issuer Support Hotline if reporting assistance is required. Select Next to continue. Now check your understanding. Common issues in on-site reviews can be identified by finding codes which are assigned risk levels. Finding code 400229 is associated with a high risk level and occurs when the account title of P&I custodial accounts per bank signature card and/or Form HUD 11709 is incorrect. Finding code 400301 is also associated with a high risk level and occurs when the account title of P&I custodial accounts per bank signature card and/or Form HUD 11720 is incorrect. Finding code 250025 is the third common issue associated with a high risk level and occurs when loans are found where funds to liquidate the loan were not deposited in the P&I custodial accounts within 2 business days of receipt. Finding code 510117 is associated with a medium risk level and occurs when disbursement clearing accounts were not timely reconciled. Finding code 250001 is also associated with a medium risk level and occurs when the liquidation code was not reported correctly to Ginnie Mae or represented on Form HUD 11710-E. Select Next to continue. Some important steps to take in on-site reviews include to ensure the legal account title on the signature card matches Form HUD 11709-11720 verbatim. Because there may be limited space on the bank signature card, Ginnie Mae has a list of acceptable acronyms found in the MBS Guide, Chapter 16, Part 13. Another step in on-site reviews includes verifying that all funds liquidating a loan move in a timely manner into the relevant custodial accounts. Additionally, the review requires ensuring the date of the reconciliation prepared is less than or equal to 30 days of the issuer's reporting period cutoff date. The last step comes into play if there are any questions related to the liquidation code that is required when removing a loan from the pool. Consult the MBS Guide and the Investor Reporting Manual for questions related to the required liquidation code. Select Next to continue. Now, check your understanding. The goal of this training module was to provide you with an understanding of common issues during compliance reviews found in cash management, delinquency, and liquidations testing, as well as common findings in on-site reviews. It also presented best practices for issuers to avoid these issues. You learned that common issues in cash management testing revolve around timely funding of escrows, bank overdrafts, reconciliation, over-under collateralized pools, and recertification, among other issues. You found that avoiding these issues requires knowledge of the account structure, flow of funds, requirements for recertification of master agreements, to name a few best practices. You explored the delinquency issues centering on default management, movement of claim payments, insufficient documentation, and hazard insurance. Importantly, best practices call for collection notes, log, code used, and timestamps. Next, you examined liquidations testing issues and discovered that timeliness, incorrect codes, and lack of written approval for reason codes are issues that you should avoid. Finally, you learned about common findings in on-site reviews such as incorrect account titles, loans where liquidation funds were not deposited within 2 days, non-timely reconciliation of disbursement clearing accounts, and incorrect liquidation codes. Select objectives for a review of what you should now be able to do. You may use the exit button to leave this presentation at this time.